excuse all the wires and stuff. Our projector went outside the room. So yeah, you can sit here. Actually, wherever you want. That's fine. Just start filling that out. He's gonna ask you to put it to the side once he starts, and then, we'll finish it up
All
later.
right, thanks, man.
All right, awesome, thanks, good luck.
Thank you.
Nothing screams holidays like the new eggnog shake from McDonald's. Rich and creamy, the perfect blend of vanilla soft serve and eggnog flavor topped with whipped cream. Get the holiday spirit. And try an eggnog shake at McDonald's while it's in season.
We're gonna start in about like 5 to 10 minutes from now, right?
Yeah, no problem. Take your time, man.
That's
No
fine.
problem.
Yeah,
Thanks,
just
man.
wait,
Appreciate
no
it.
problem.
seat right there, sir.
So I don't know if you guys like the Red Hot Chili Peppers or anything. Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you? Good. I'm glad to hear that. Let me introduce myself. My name is Taylor Black. I'm actually the senior manager here at the Ann Arbor, Massachusetts office for the Giglio & Ackerman agency. All right. Now I see you guys are still filling out your personality profiles. You might have been already finished because you've been sitting here for quite some time. So
Yeah,
that's
done
okay.
with all of them.
Oh, you're done with that? Okay, great. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is just set that to the side for now. I'm gonna give you ample amount of time to set, especially finish it more so at the end of this overview that I'm gonna do for you guys. All right. Now, especially while I do this overview, I'm gonna ask you guys to just pay direct attention to me because I'm gonna answer any questions, especially that you might have already in your head. Okay. What I am gonna ask you to do more than anything is jot down any notes or any questions that you will have throughout the process, because if we do decide to move forward with one of you two, all right, that's when we'll probably have a one-on-one interview, which is called the final interview, where we'll kind of go over everything. Okay, which will make more sense. Now, do you guys have a piece of paper to write on? I know you might have had a notepad, so don't worry, I brought a piece of paper, make it lives easier. All right, so especially while I go over this, just want you to take good notes, and we're gonna go over a couple different things. All right, no problem. Now, you might be wondering why this is more of like a group overview. Especially within the last 2 years, the Giglio & Ackerman Agency has been experiencing a substantial amount of growth. All right, it's been 20% in back-to-back years. All right, so especially in a company that's not a startup company, that's pretty amazing. All right, so we've been around since 1984. Attleboro, Massachusetts is one of 4 offices. All right, so there's actually 3 more offices in New Jersey. All right, so the 3 people or the 2 people that you guys met today are actually Jersey boys, and so am I. All right, so we just moved up here about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, because of the growth in Jersey. They allowed us to, expand our territory to here. All right, so I'm gonna go over a couple different things with you guys. All right, number 1, let's see here, is actually to be the company background. All right, it's gonna be very important, just so you understand a little bit more about us. Marketing, all right, the benefits we provide to our union members, the money, and obviously compatibility. All right. Obviously, we're pretty selective, especially within the next couple weeks right before Thanksgiving. We want to make sure that we select the right candidate, especially for our benefits position and our leadership position as well. All right, so it's very, very important to understand. Now, before I dive right in, this could sound like a weird question. Have any of you ever been pulled over by the police?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, you have. All right, just making sure. Okay, now, when you get pulled over by the police, what do the police usually do?
Ask you for your license, insurance, and registration.
Perfect. All right, that's good. Now, even before then, like right when they pull you over, what are they usually looking at? Your license.
The license plate, correct.
All right, so they're probably running your tags just to make sure why. Probably that you're not a killer or anything crazy, that you're not wanted. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run American income tax for you guys. All right, just so you can understand a little bit more about us again with our company background. All right. Now, the biggest thing to understand is the company was actually founded in 1951 by a man named Bernard Rappaport. All right, so that's his name right here. If you want to write that down, that's like really important. Okay, he actually borrowed $25,000 from his father-in-law. Okay, to start the company. All right. I don't know if you guys are you married or if you have a significant other, but borrowing $25,000, especially in 1951 from your father-in-law, is pretty insane in itself. Okay. But what Bernard did, or what Bernard had as a vision, was to protect working families, one family at a time. All right, so if you looked at a huge pie chart, especially of working class in the 1950s, unions were only 20% of it. Okay, and the other 80% was just the other workforce, ideally higher income clientele. All right, so the other companies, especially during that time frame, were all approaching the 80%. Okay, that's what they went after first and foremost, because that's the people who have money. So Bernard had this vision by protecting middle class to lower class families, again, one family at a time. All right, and that's really important to understand. So we're actually the only, pretty much we're the only supplemental benefit company internationally to protect union members, credit unions and associations. So that's over 20,000 organizations. All right, so that's huge. Okay, now we are an international company, so we have an agency in every state. Especially in the United States, we have an agency in Canada. We also have one in New Zealand. We're also opening up a few more offices in Italy, Mexico, and the Virgin Islands as well. So we're expanding. All right, just to give you an idea more so about the growth. All right. Now, if you notice, there's also Torchmark Corporation. So we're going to fast forward here to 1994. All right. Torchmark is a holdings company. All right. The TMK is actually the ticker symbol for the New York Stock Exchange, if you follow that. Okay. Now, Torchmark actually approached Bernard Rappaport and said to him, "Listen, Bernard, we want to buy your company out." Okay. Of course, Bernard said, "This is my baby. I don't think I want to provide it." So Torchmark said to him, I really don't think you understand. All right. We want to buy your company for $550 million. Okay. What do you think Bernard said? He probably sold it, right? All right. $25,000 of borrowed capital from his father-in-law, and then making $500 million later on in 1994. He probably said yes. All right, so Bernard ended up selling his company to Torchmark. All right, and Torchmark, again, is a holdings company, so they actually own 5 insurance companies. They don't really do anything, but they more so just hold it. So basically for TMK, I think it's about $60 on the stock exchange right now, and they're more so just, pretty prestigious in that sense. Now they actually, or American Income for that matter, is 56% of Torchmark, so we're actually the crown jewel for their company, okay? Obviously, you guys aren't going to care more so about the history, so we're more talk about the growth. That's probably the most important thing. Okay, so especially in 1994 through 2013, when Torchmark essentially bought us out, what do you notice about this chart?
Went up. No sales and
It went up. Okay, all right. Exactly. So, I mean, first of all, I'm going to say this. No trick questions today, guys. I'm going to have a lot of fun with you. It's going to be pretty simple. All right. I'm asking these questions kind of like rhetorically because it's pretty obvious that, the chart's going up. All right. Now, the biggest thing that I want you guys to especially notice is the time frame from 2003 to 2013. All right. Now, do you guys recall what happened in 2008?
2008, there was a recession.
There was a recession. All right. So, Barack Obama went publicly and said, this is the worst economic stage we've ever been in since the Great Depression. All right. So even during that time frame, during 2008, we still grew, which is like extremely important. So I wanted to make sure that you guys understand that. Now, that obviously shows you more so about the quantity of business that we have. All right, and that's important. But there's two cues when it comes to importance in terms of a business. It's quantity, and then it's quality. Okay. Now, how we're rated based on our quality is by AM Best Company. Have you guys ever heard of AM Best Company? Okay, that's fine.
I
So,
think I did, yeah.
okay, you might have heard of it briefly. That's fine. So I'm gonna explain. It's not a big deal. Now, it's actually an insurance ratings company. All right, it's one of the oldest insurance ratings company in the world. Okay, they basically rate you based on your financial stability and also how you pay out your claims. All right, so I'm sure a lot of us went to schooling. Am I correct? I know I saw a lot of schooling on your resume, so that was very important. Now, what is the best grade you can get in school? An A. All right. An A plus. All right, there you go. Again, no trick question, guys. This is just gonna be for fun. So we have our A plus superior rating through AM Best Company, which basically means that we pay out all of our claims. All right, so that's extremely important. So while we have great quantity of business as we continue to grow, all right, we also have quality business as well. All right, so I wanted you guys to obviously understand that. All right, now this is where I'm gonna explain the marketing to you. All right, so you sat down with Dave Palmer today. You sat down with Max Nozak. Again, I'm Taylor Black. Guess what? We have a PR department that basically deals hand in hand with these unions. All right, so what I'm explaining to you right now is something that we call the red zone theory. All right, now do we have any football fans here?
Yeah, I do.
You like football, or what team do you like?
The Colts, actually.
The Colts? I don't know how that happened. Okay, so Colts fan, and what about you? Do you watch football?
Redskins, but...
Oh, that's right. I saw that you were in Washington, D.C. for a little bit. So yeah, you're gonna be a Redskins fan. I actually went to Virginia Tech for a little bit, so I was down in Virginia, all Redskins fans.
I went to West Virginia, actually.
Oh, okay. All right, so actually, I'll talk to you about something funny about that a little bit later. That's actually funny that you mentioned that. But especially when it comes to football, what is the red zone?
The end zone, right?
The end zone is one thing. The red zone is what? Okay, so I'll explain. Don't worry, I'm explain. So if there's 100 yards on a football field, the red zone is when you march 80 yards down the field and you have 20 yards left before the end zone. All right. So if Andrew Luck and the Colts are in the red zone, what do you usually expect to happen?
Throw.
A throw.
Touchdown, yep.
Touchdown.
Fantasy.
There again.
No,
No,
actually, I'm sorry, definitely a touchdown.
definitely a touchdown. All right. Again, no trick questions. We're trying to score points here. All right. We're trying to win. Okay. So the biggest thing to understand is number one, our PR representative essentially sits down with the union president. Now, how are presidents usually elected? They're probably elected by the people, correct? All right. Again, no trick question. So by the people, because why? They're looking for the best interest in their members, correct? All right. So our PR representative sits down with that union president and shows them benefits, lays them out. So this is what we have to protect your people. So then that union president then agrees with the PR rep to obviously better protect their families, or better protect their members. Okay, so that's our first yes. Okay, now our second yes is this. So we sent a letter out to all the union members, okay, and their families, and it's like a little yellow 3x5 card saying this is the benefits that your union president has selected for you. All right, you can fill it out obviously to get those benefits. Now, usually when you get mail sent to your house, what two piles are there? The two piles that you usually get for when you get the mail sent to you. There's
bills, and there's ads and stuff like that.
Okay, so there you go. So there's obviously an importance of bills pile, and then usually a junk pile. Right? The junk pile is probably the credit card that says you can sign up for this and you'll get a free teddy bear or something crazy like that. All right, that's the junk pile. All right, now does anybody know the return ratio on especially that side of the pile? Like in terms of like who actually mails back things that they get from that?
Probably 90%.
Okay, so 90%, that's actually a little
I'm sorry, they don't mail back, I'm sorry.
They don't mail back, exactly.
I'm sorry.
All right, so no, then that's exactly fine. No, don't be sorry, it's fine. So essentially, it's actually 1 to 2%. So that's a very, 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 very low return ratio. Now, for these union mail cards, obviously, if they see somebody says letter from your union president or letter from your union period, they're probably going to put in the importance file. All right, we actually have a 30 to 40% return ratio on those cards. All right, so right then and there, that's the second yes. Okay, now going towards our third yes. All right, it's distributed especially by zip codes. So I know that you're from, or you're not from Pawtucket, but that's where you're living right now, correct?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so great. So the union members in Pawtucket, all right, and the other members that we service, like the credit unions and associations in Pawtucket, are essentially the people that you would try and service. Okay, so it's not like you're going out too far, but what you're essentially going to do is you're going to give them a call, say, listen, I have your yellow 3x5 card here. What I'm going to do is just set up a time frame where I'm going to come and stop by and go over your benefits with you. All right, what time do you usually get home from work? Okay, around 6, great. I'll be there around 7 o'clock to make sure you understand a little bit more about this and understand the importance of this. All right, that's the third yes. All right, that's the red zone theory. Okay, so obviously, I mean, what I'm going to say to you right now is our PR department almost marches us all the way down the field. The last thing that we have to do is score. All right, so how do we do that? All right, now I'm going to ultimately, let me see, which one of you guys want to be the union president? We'll say you're going to be the union president. Why not? All right, so let me ask you this: if you worked 1 extra hour in a week, you wouldn't probably go out and buy a Ferrari, correct?
Correct.
You probably wouldn't. All right, now if you worked 1 less hour, would that probably take any food off your table? Would that, have you starving? Would that have you struggling? It wouldn't take any. Yeah, okay, good. All right. So the biggest thing here is what I'm going to say to you right now is you're making $687 a week. All right, and you're living a regular lifestyle. That's your 40 hours. Now, what I'm going to say to you is this: I'm going to take away 1 hour. Okay, but this is what we're going to get at. Okay, so now you're going to be making $670 a week. All right, now if you can think about the union members, that's the police officers, the teachers union, the iron workers, the sheet metal workers, the Teamsters. Now, all those people, they ideally have jobs where if they were out of work, their families would struggle. They're very hard-headed and very persistent, so they're always trying to go into work no matter what.
Yes.
All right, they don't essentially take sick days. My mother's the same way, she's a teacher. Okay, so in this case, if you were ever in the emergency room, or if you ever hurt yourself, or if you ever, in serious intensive care, the company will pay out this kind of money. So, for instance, if you're in the emergency room, all right, and you miss 4 days of work, the company will then pay your family $50 for each day that you're out of work. Okay. Now, if you were in the hospital confinement, all right, so you were, a little bit worse, all right, you're in there for probably a couple of weeks, all right, the company would then give your family $100 for every day that you're out of work, just to make sure that you're still having an income coming in. Okay, so if you do the math on that, you were making $687 beforehand. Say you're in the hospital for 7 days, guess what? Your family made $700 to make sure that your income is protected. Now, the intensive care unit is something kind of unique. Now, if you know this, when you're in the intensive care unit, that's usually not good news. All right, usually they're giving you like a 14-day label there for you to live, for you to survive.
Yeah, I was there for 3 weeks, so I know.
Okay, so there you go. So all right, and that is a hard time, especially for any family member. Now, every day that you're in the intensive care unit, all right, for about 2 to 3 weeks, your family will then get $200 for every day, just to make sure that your income is supplemented. All right. Now, on top of that, what we also have is this: it's $30,000 called the freedom of choice. Now, let me ask you guys this: have you guys ever been to a funeral before? You have been. Okay. And how much does a funeral usually cost? Do you have an idea of the average? It's a lot of money. Yeah.
50,
Okay. 14, 15, you said?
40, 50, depending.
Yeah, depending on the final arrangements, absolutely. Now, believe it or not, I mean, the average in the world, just the average, so that's, yeah, you're absolutely right, depending on the funeral that you set up, is about $14,000 to $15,000 today. All right, and with inflation 20 years from now, it's going to increase about 4% a year. It's going to be around $30,000. So what American Income is especially known for is something called our final expense benefit. All right, it's our freedom of choice. That's $30,000 that would go straight to your family on the time of you passing away, just to pay for your funerals and make sure that your final expenses are taken care of. All right. Now let's say you're married. All right, you have a significant other. All right, she's working too. All right. Now what we're also going to do is protect your income. All right. So for 24 months, which is 2 years, your significant other, your wife, is going to get paid $3,000 a month to make sure that her income is solidified. Okay. Now let's flip this on its head for a second. Now, if she were to pass away before you, all right, the company would then have her income replaced for yourself. Okay, so you have basically $1,500 for a year. Okay, now if anything happened to you accidentally, what they also offer is $100,000 to $200,000 to make sure that college education is protected if you have children. Okay, mortgage might be supplemented too if you have a mortgage, all right, and other things as well. Now, the debt protection, because obviously if you pass away, there's still going to be debt. There's still things that we have to pay off, like that mortgage, like a car bill. Okay, so the company will give also $2,800 for 3 years, just to make sure that your debt is better protected. All right, now let me ask you this. All right, if I were to give you the option between two jobs, all right, you had your current job where you're making $687 a week, okay, or you had the enhanced job, all right, we're making $670 a week, but then you have obviously the hospital benefits, the $30,000 for final expenses, the $3,000 for 24 months for 2 years, the $1,500 for your wife if she passes away, the accidental benefit, all right, the $100,000 to $200,000, and then the $2,800 for the debt protection as well. Which job do you think you would choose?
What are the benefits?
Obviously. All right, so that's what I do every day. That's how easy it is. Okay, so basically what it makes it even easier than all that, which is also very, very impressive, and I'll tell you a funny story right after this, is the in-home laptop presentation. So everything that you would need to explain is put on the laptop. Okay, it's called the EAP program. The EAP program basically explains all the benefits to these members and make sure that they understand the importance of it. All right, so union members, credit unions, associations, those are the people that we essentially service. Child Safe is similar to the Gerber plan, if you ever heard of that, okay? So we also provide that. And it even provides these union members with a needs analysis. All right, so it gives them obviously their first name, their spouse's name, their child's name, and we plug in all this information, and of course what comes out at the end of that is a final proposal screen based off their needs. All right, so they're saying to them, you need this to better protect your family for the longevity of things. That's what they have. Okay? All right, now, if you sat down with 12 union members, anyway, because that's the average per week, okay, how many union members do you think would sign up for that? Or not sign up for that, I'm sorry, enroll into the benefits program?
If they are open, I think above 10.
About 10, okay. About 10, and then what do you think?
Probably 6 or 7.
6 or 7? Oh, okay, so believe it or not, I'm going to basically show you the next part of this on a company average of 4. Okay, 4 enrolls a week. So that's a company average, that's international, so that's from Texas to California to Idaho. That is the company average for these members, okay? Yeah, so no, that's the company average, so I'm going to base it upon that, what I'm going to show you next, all right? Now, before I even do that, I'm going to take a step back, all right? I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself. So, when I started in this company, it was about 2 years ago, I was 20 years old, all right? I was working 3 jobs, I was going to school full-time, okay? On top of all that, I was on the wrestling team too, so that was like a side note, all right? But I also participated in sports. So, my day would start at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'd be working till 10 o'clock at night, and if I had a test the next day, that was 11 to 12 o'clock at night that I was working till, all right? And that was every day. And by me saying 3 jobs, because I know we've all had jobs before, job also has an acronym, it's called Just Over Broke, all right? I was barely meeting ends meet, all right? I was introduced to this company at the age of 20, and I'm gonna say this very humbly, it has changed my life, all right, in multiple ways that, I mean, you'll understand, maybe this sounds cheesy, maybe it doesn't, but this company will change someone's life, all right, and this is why, all right? So based off the 4 average enrollments, what I'm going to show you is based on the benefits job. This is very, very important to take notes of because this is how we get paid. All right. Now, you guys didn't sign up for the volunteer position. Is that correct? No, I saw your face. No, we didn't sign up. Obviously, want to make some money. Yeah, no, I understand. Just your face dropped. I was like, guys, I'm joking. It's a joke. Again, we're going to have fun here today. So this is for our benefits rep. And again, this is based off just 4 average enrollments. All right. So weekly, you'd be making about $725. All right, for the weekly prepaid. All right, now have any of you guys ever made bonuses before?
Yes.
You have made bonuses, okay. Now do you usually make that monthly, quarterly, yearly, annually? What
It was actually monthly. I worked in a car business.
Car business, okay, so
Big car dealership.
similar to Max, so that must have been a good first interview then, that makes sense. There you go. So oh, yours was annual, so yours was yearly. Okay, so you had to wait a whole year for it. So ideally in the car business, especially because it's monthly to pay out those bonuses, how hard were people working towards the end of the month than the beginning of the month?
Very hard.
Very hard.
All of us, yeah.
Okay, all of us,
Just because
good.
you didn't hit your core.
Exactly, because we tend to, especially it's human nature just to slack off within the first 2 weeks. All right, so American Income actually realized that, and they obviously acknowledged that. So what they ended up doing was changing it from a monthly bonus. This was 8 years ago, all right, to a weekly bonus. All right, now why did they do that? Because they realized that people worked a lot harder towards the end of the month instead of working harder for the first 2 weeks, first 3 weeks, first 4 weeks. All right, they wanted to make sure that they added an extra incentive. All right, so I'm going to explain to you that, again, this is 5 basic ways we get paid here as a benefits rep. Now, the weekly bonus is about $350, okay, for those 4 average enrollments. All right, now they also added something, and this is a flat fee. All right, this is $200 just on top of all that. All right, it's called the weekly guaranteed advance. We jokingly call it the cell phone bill and the car bill, or the gas bill for that matter. Okay, they add that on there as a flat rate, but you have to have a minimum of 2 enrollments a week. Because if you don't, then they really understand that you're not working. Okay, if that makes sense. Now, based off that average number, somebody would make about $1,275 a week, about $65,000 in a year. Okay, so those are the first 3 ways that somebody would get paid. Now, the next thing that I'm going to show you is called renewals, residual income. All right. Now, have any of you ever heard of residual or renewals at all? You have? Okay, so what does that stand for? What does it mean? What is a renewal?
I know residual is like after a few years, whatever you make, something like that, right?
Okay, so
Is it similar to like residual value in a car stuff? Like after you lease, whenever you get back your lease, what's your residual on the car? How much is worth? Like,
okay, so that's kind of similar. Yeah, no, absolutely. You actually a little bit closer. Now, for renewals, especially in this industry, it's extremely important. All right, and it's first of all, it's a vesting renewal, and it's a lifelong renewal as well. So I'm going to explain this to you. So you basically get paid with renewals off what you did in previous years. Okay, so when I first started at American Income, my regional director, his name was Evan Holzhauer. All right, he's been here for about 8 years now. All right, he was making about $5,000 to $5,600 in renewals a month, based off what he did 8 years ago. And what caught my attention more than anything, because I see my mother as a teacher working in the union. Okay, she's busting her butt every day just to make sure that she gets these things done. She's working for like a $4,000 to a $5,000 pension after 25 years. That's longer than my life right now. Okay, that's all. Like for especially the union members, they're working police officers till they're 62 or 65, and hopefully, based upon their state, they're going to get $4,000 to $5,000 in their pension, or their monthly pension. So Evan was making $5,600 a month based off 8 years of hard work. So that really grabbed my attention because I started when I was 20. All right, so as you can see, it says 10%, 50%, and 100%. So if Evan decided to just, I want to retire today, all right, he would get 80% of his renewals. All right, so that's because he just worked here for 8 years. Now, so say for somebody that worked 10 years, and I'm going to explain to you another story in a second. Say they worked for 10 years, they're then 100% vested into the company. All right, now how are renewals paid for? All right, because ideally these payments are monthly payments, all right, just like similar to a car bill or a mortgage bill, okay, or a cell phone bill for that matter. Based upon that, all right, if somebody pays for 13 months, now they're paying for the policy. Now, if you had life insurance, when do you think you'd stop paying for that?
Life insurance?
Mm-hmm. When do you think you'd stop paying for it?
Stop paying?
Mm-hmm.
You already did.
Exactly. Again, no trick questions here, guys. There you go. All right. So when you die is when you're going to stop paying for it. So as the person continues to pay for the policy, that's what continues to pay me for my renewals. All right. So Eric Giglione, again, we're the Giglione Ackerman Agency. Eric Giglione is the one who founded, or basically started in New Jersey in 1984. He's been here for 35 years. He makes over $100,000 in renewals every month. All right, so if he decided to retire, today, yesterday, like 25 years ago, he would have been 100% vested into the company. So if let's say he retires today, he would make over $100,000 every month just based off his renewals. All right, and also what's also pretty impressive about this, because this is something that they had to further explain to me too, because I couldn't even wrap my mind around it. If he passed away, his daughter, Nicole, would then get those renewals. And I don't know who else he has in his will, but it's like a willable asset. Okay, so you can pass it to a family member or a child or something like that. Okay, so especially when I started at 20, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the 30-year mark. I can retire at 30. I mean, if I want to live comfortably off like about average $10,000 a month. Okay, so that's the fourth way they get paid. Now, this is the fifth way people get paid, and this is called the tenure bonus. All right, how I like to explain this now. Usually, when you see a rabbit, if you put a carrot in front of it, what do you think it's going to do? A rabbit. All right, and when you put a carrot in front of it, what is it usually going to do? It's going to go for it. All right, it's probably going to chase it. So I used to, this is essentially the tenure bonus to me. Is like putting a steak in front of somebody and saying, "Here, do you want more money? Come and make it." All right. So based off the 4th month, 5th month, and 6th month year, all right, what would happen in the 4th month if we did an average or a minimum, for that matter, of 6 average enrollments? All right, you would get paid $500 in the 4th month, $750 in the 5th month, all right, and $1,000 in the 6th month. Just as a way for the company to say, you know what, we want you to make more money. Okay, that's huge. All right, so some people just get an extra $1,000 just because they did the average. All right, I'm sure none of us woke up today as we got ready for our interview and said, you know what, I want to be average today. Okay, no, of course not. And if you did, all right, that's fine. That's okay. I'm okay with that. But that's based off an average number. Okay. Now, this is what we're really looking for. We're looking for leaders, especially within this office. Again, the best way to grow a business is when, or within, for that matter, the leadership. People that can lead other people and people that can definitely deal with our clientele. So our first position in leadership is called the supervisor. Okay, so after 3 to 6 months of being in the company, that's essentially when somebody will move into that supervisor role. Now, don't get me wrong, we have a lot of benefits representatives, and they're amazing. There's one guy named Scott Remy back in New Jersey. He's been here for 25 years, and he's been a benefit rep. All right, but a lot of people like to tend to move into the management or the leadership because that's where the money's made. Okay. Now, essentially, when you become a supervisor, you get a 5% increase in pay. All right, and you're then field training, we call it, 1 to 3 people. All right, you're supervising 1 to 3 people to make sure that they know what they're doing. All right, again, we work with 20,000 unions, associations, and credit unions. We don't want to screw up that relationship. So usually a manager or a supervisor is somebody that we trust the most, especially our supervisors. Okay. Now, if you notice, I did say FT, or if you notice, there's an FT right there. That stands for a field trainer. So again, that deals, or that shows the people that they're training the one-on-one interaction between our union members. All right. That's how we, better protect our families. We need to train people to do exactly what we do. All right. Now, a supervisor ideally makes about $65,000 to $90,000 a year. All right. Where does that money come from? It doesn't come from the 5% increase in pay. It comes from teaching you how to do it. So I'll get paid based off of how you do, how you perform. Okay, if you're a person that likes to slack off, doesn't work, anything like that, then I will get paid. But if I train you and teach you how to work with, especially those union members, that's how I'll get paid. Okay, so let's explain the supervisor position. Now, the next position is the manager position. All right, and ideally 6 months to a year is when it takes you to get that. If you want, you can write on the back of the personality thing too. That's fine. I saw that you ran out of paper. That means you're taking good notes. That's a good thing. But the manager position, it does take about 6 months to a year to fall into that position. All right, it is a 10% increase in pay. All right, but now what you're dealing with is 4 to 7 people and 1 supervising agent, or as many supervising agents as possible. Now, a manager, now one of their main jobs, this is one of the harder positions because you're now training people how to work with the clientele that we work with, like the unions. All right, but then you're also training supervisors how to become better leaders. Okay, and that's one of the most important things. So now you're training supervisors also to become better leaders, better managers, and also working in with the clientele. Now, a manager usually makes around $75,000 to $110,000 a year on average in this company. Okay, now this next position I'm about to show you, we call this the NFL contract. This is the position that I hold currently. I recently just got promoted. I've been here again since January of 2014. So about 20 months now I'm into it, almost 2 years. Okay, but actually about 18 months for that matter, I think. I don't even know. But essentially, this is what we call the NFL contract position. Now, do you guys know what the bare minimum somebody makes for an NFL contract? Usually what somebody would make. You don't know? It's okay, so I'm explaining.
Like $500,000?
500,000. It's a little bit lower than that, so that's also a great guess. Actually, I would have never even thought that either. It's about $300,000 to $350,000 a year. All right. Now, a general man. I mean, the best part about being a general manager, I don't have to worry about head trauma, my body aching, waking up every morning in severe pain because I got beat up during football. So this might be a little bit better than an NFL contract. All right. But for a general manager, it takes about 1 to 2 years to get into that position. Okay. Now, ideally, you have a 15% increase in your pay. Okay. All right. And then on top of that, you're ideally training and dealing with 8 to 12 people. All right, making sure that they understand the business and making sure that they know how to work with, again, those union members and that clientele. Now, this is the reason why it's called the NFL contract. A general manager ideally makes about $200,000 to $300,000 a year. Again, that's based off the average number. We have some regional directors, which is pretty interesting in itself, or some general managers, for that matter, making about $400,000 to $500,000 a year. All right, so my regional director, Corey Helly, is about making $500,000 to $600,000. Which is awesome, and he's been here for about 4 to 5 years. Okay. Now, a big thing to understand, especially about this is something that you obviously have to work for. So it usually does take about 2 years to fall into that position, not fall into, but work for that position. Okay. All right. Now, this is more so where I'm going to talk to you guys about compatibility. All right. What we're essentially looking for. All right. Obviously, in the next, I guess I'm going to say probably the next couple of days, we're essentially trying to, not wrap up our hiring process, but we're trying to find obviously that right candidate, or find a few right candidates, especially before Thanksgiving. So this is important. All right, so this is what we're looking for. All right. Number one, what you have to be compatible to work in American Income with a Giggling and Acrimate agency is work ethic. All right, especially being here for a couple years. Something that I'm really excited about is being able to push or move a lot of the people that I've trained into management positions. All right, so I've seen a lot of resumes, talked to a lot of people, interviewed a lot of people, but guess what? I've never seen a resume that said, I am lazy, as one of their best qualities. All right, no shot, all right? There's literally no way. Now, if I told you, though, to write down 5 names of people that are lazy, you'd probably be able to do that. All right, you probably thought of 5 people right away. Okay, so work ethic is very, very important. It's not like, I just came in with a wheelbarrow of cash and said, this is what we can do after 2 years. No. I had to work very hard for this. Exactly. You had to earn it. Exactly. Perfect. All right. So that's important. That's number one. And number two, you have to grind for it. It's a grind. All right. So work ethic is very, very important. All right. The next thing is traveling. All right. And I know it says New Jersey only. That's because we have to update that. But you need to have a car. We have cars here, right? You used to sell cars. I hope you have a car.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, just making sure. So we have to have a car because ideally, if you're driving to an appointment in Pawtucket, guess what? All right, you're gonna have to drive there. It's not gonna be able to walk there. I think Pawtucket's a pretty big town. Now, the next thing, just like any other business, like the mortgage business or the real estate business, you need to have a license. All right, you're literally dealing with people's personal information, their social security number, their banking information, their driver's license, their doctor's information. You need to obtain a license so you can work with these people. All right. Now, to do this, all right, we offer an online class here in this office. All right, it's $150. It's a tuition. All right, that's the tuition fee for the online course, and especially to get that one-on-one training from either one of the managers in this office, or there's another place where you can take it in Massachusetts, which is good. All right, so that's the fee that you need to pay for your tuition. Okay. Now the next thing that you need is a laptop. All right. Now why do you need a laptop? Because of that EAP program that we had that basically showed the members and the union members what they needed based off what they're telling us. That's why you need a laptop. Now, we usually joke around and say if you find a rock with the screen on it and 2 speakers, that's good enough. So I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy a laptop today. No, that doesn't even make sense. First of all, we still have to overlook your personality profiles, overlook your resumes, and still see if we think you're a good fit. Okay. But on top of that, you just need a laptop. Obviously put that program on it. All right. Now the 5th thing, and I'm going to be honest and tell you, this is probably the most important thing. This is what automatically drew me, especially when I was 20 years old. Is culture. Okay, competitive and high energy, as it says on the screen. All right, so we have a Monday or a weekly agency meeting on Monday. All right, usually it's in New Jersey. All right, we have our 2 state directors. We have Eric Guglione running up and down the aisles, high-fiving people, hugging people, kissing people on the forehead. We have our state director, Mr. Ackerman, so David Ackerman, throwing candy bars at the higher performers. Okay, we have people, singing and dancing on stage, so it's high energy. All right, we like to have fun. All right, we're thank God thank God it's Monday, people, not thank God it's Friday. That's the difference between a job and a career. Okay, so we have high energy, and also on top of that, we're competitive. All right, if you're the kind of person that kind of likes to stand like close to a wall or close to a wall next to in an elevator or something like that, this job's probably not the best for you. Okay, you need to be like interactive. You need to have fun. You need to be high energy. And again, going back to the competitive thing, that's like one of the biggest things for me. All right, especially because you get to compete, especially within this company, internationally. All right, so especially for me, and this, I'm going to say this as humble as possible. I've been ranked in the country, in the nation, top 10 probably for the last 3 months in my position that I hold now. Okay, and that's going against people from New Zealand, people against Canada, California, Florida, Pittsburgh. All right, different areas. So you have to be competitive. That's what drives people. Again, that's for me. That's my stake in front of me. Okay. Now, what happens next? All right. Again, me and Dave Palmer are going to meet up later today. All right, we're going to sit down and we're going to go over a couple different things. All right. Again, your personality profile, because we want to make sure that you're the right fit for us. All right, and also your resumes. Okay, we're gonna look over that, see, of course, whether or not we think that you're gonna be a good fit. And that's when, especially in the next couple of days, we're gonna try to set maybe you up for your final interview where we'll have that one-on-one time to answer any questions that you may have, because we have a lot of questions for you probably as well. Okay, so that's the first thing. So we need to select you. All right. Then your interview will be with the hiring manager. Now there's a white piece of paper within that packet that we had given you. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, it might be. Yep. So there's that one, and then there's also. We'll go with the white piece of paper first. Yep, so I'll show you. It's right here. Okay, so as you can see, it says 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so if we do decide to obviously move forward with you, we want to have a certain level of commitment. Okay, so we want you to ideally select maybe the best time that you would want to be sat down with, number one, and then number two, we want you to write down, one quality about yourself which would make you think that you would be a good fit for this company. Okay, so that's what I'm going to ask you guys to do, right now. So ideally, you want to do that. And then the last thing is there's a yellow piece of paper. It's usually on the back end of that. It might be under the blue piece of paper. I apologize. So right here. All right. Now, if we do decide to select you and move forward with you, we're going to ask you to bring in 5 questions. All right, and we want to make sure that we answer any of those questions. All right. Now, a big thing to understand is, again, the commitment is there's a certain level of commitment. If we decide to do that, we decide to move past a couple other candidates to select one of you. Okay, that's very, very important to understand. So, I don't know if you've ever dated a girl before and said, listen, Susan, all right, I think I want to marry you. All right. Now, if she responded saying, oh, but I have a date with Tony tomorrow, okay, and I'm going to the movies with John later, and I'm hanging out with Max on Saturday, you'd probably be like, what am I doing? All right. So especially when it comes to this final interview, this is where we want a commitment to be made. All right, because if we're committing to you, that means we didn't commit to somebody else. All right. So a big thing to understand is as we're especially looking over your resumes, over your personality profiles, you're gonna get a call from probably a 908 number. All right, if we do select you. All right, and that's gonna be for me. All right, if we do that, we're gonna obviously try to move forward. Okay, so that's important to understand. Now, the last thing I want to say to you guys is number one, thank you for your time. All right, I appreciate you guys. All right, I appreciate you, especially coming into our newer office here in Attleboro. Okay, what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna give you time now to fill out your personality profiles. If you wanna, or if you haven't, I don't know, did you finish yours yet or no?
This one, yeah, I did actually.
Okay, you did finish it, great. Now, when you're all done, okay, what I'm going to ask you to do is, obviously pick a time frame that might be best for you, and obviously hand your personality profile to Rachel, my secretary that's sitting right up there. Okay? Again, it's very, very nice meeting you guys. Good luck with your job searches.
Thanks,
All right?
man. Appreciate it.
No doubt.
Nice meeting you, man.
No
You went to Virginia Tech, you said?
I went to VT, man. So,
Nice.
believe it or not, one of my boys back in Jersey, one of my top guys back in Jersey is from West Virginia.
Yeah, he was telling me, I know.
Okay, so his name is Elvis, and he's a goofball, but he is a stud.
Stud, yeah.
He's a stud. He's a good guy, man. But absolutely, it was nice meeting you guys. Have a
Thanks,
good
man,
day.
appreciate it.
No problem.